Hey, fourth grade, it's Mrs. Crosswhite. We are going to learn how to draw 3D forms today. So these are the things you're going to need. You're going to need a white piece of paper, and actually you're going to need a few pieces of white paper. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and colored pencils, okay? So the first thing is we're going to go step by step. So there's actually going to be more than one video today. So the first thing is we're going to learn how to draw something from a shape into a form. And we're going to focus on 3 of those. So the first one, as we all know, is a 3-sided shape, which is a triangle. Well, how do I get a flat shape, which is a triangle, to turn into a 3D form, which is a pyramid? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to draw this in a couple different stages. So first we have the triangle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to think to myself, well, if this is my triangle, and it's okay if the lines aren't perfectly straight, how am I going to add another edge to it? And what you're going to do is you're going to start at the top of your triangle and come down in the back. And it's going to make a V. You see this little V right here? And then you're going to connect it with a straight line. And you have a pyramid as opposed to just a triangle. So we've gone from a shape to a form. Now, that's one. Now let's talk about squares for a second. So I have a shape, and that's a square. Now, how do I get my square to transform into a cube? Well, that can be a little tricky too. There's actually several ways to draw cubes. So I'm going to show you my way though. So I'm going to start off with a square. And again, I'm not using a ruler right now, so it doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but as close as we can get it. And I'm going to focus on these 3 corners. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make a short line that comes out from the 2 top corners. And if you see, they're at a bit of an angle. And then I'm going to connect them with a straight line. And there is the top of my cube. And I'm going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. Except this time it's going to connect to the top. And there is the top of my cube. So we've gone from a shape to a form. So a 3D form on a flat piece of paper. It's always really tricky to draw things 3D on something that's flat. It's really easy to make things 3D when we're using something like clay or like with your cardboard sculptures last week, things like that. So this is a little bit tricky for some people. Now, the next one we're going to do is actually a rectangle, which is going to be very similar to our cube. Now, in case you've forgotten, a rectangle is actually called a rectangular prism when we're talking about forms. So I'm going to go ahead and draw first the rectangle, so the flat shape. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did with the cube, only it's going to be a little more stretched out because the rectangle is longer. And I'm going to add those lines on each corner and bring them down. And I've gone from my shape to my form. Now this is the first page we're going to do together. So I want you to go through and follow along with me if you haven't already. Remember, you can pause and rewind the video as many times as you need to. On the next page, we're going to do something, or in the next video, we're going to do something a little tricky, and you're going to need another piece of paper. I'll see you guys in a little bit.